The paper grocery bag slips from my hand before my brain registers what I'm seeing. A jar of marinara bursts against the pristine tile, sauce splattering like blood across a crime scene. For 3 stunned heartbeats, I stand frozen in my own. Doorway, keys dangling from my fingers, eyes fixed on the impossible tableau inside. My mother and sister are in my living room. My living room, photographed and texted to them only 3 days ago. My living room, whose address I never gave. What are you doing here? The words leave my mouth flat and hollow. Liana startles, measuring tape stretched between her hands. She's been mapping the guest bedroom, my office, her face flickering with guilt before smoothing into entitlement. Posey, you're home early. Mom straightens from where she's rearranging my furniture, smile bright and false. We thought you'd be at work until 5. That doesn't answer my question. I step over the puddle of sauce, my shoes sticking to the tile. How did you even get in? Oh, I had a key made yesterday when I stopped by to congratulate you. She waves as if swatting a fly. My stomach drops. The memory surfaces. Mom asking to use the bathroom during her brief visit. Her purse suspiciously left behind. You took my keys? My voice cracks. Don't be dramatic, honey. She fluffs a pillow. We're just seeing how to make this work for everyone. Work for everyone. Cold dread spreads through me. I already know what that means. They don't. Even pause when I demand answers. Liana continues stretching her tape measure across the wall, murmuring about bunk beds and storage space. My office, the one room that felt purely mine, shrinks under the weight of her plans. Kids need room to grow, she says without looking at me. This will be perfect for them. Perfect. My jaw locks. I bought this house quietly, deliberately, to carve out one piece of life untouched by them. I never told my parents because I knew what they would do. And yet, here they are. You can't just move into my house. Don't start with that selfish tone. Mom's voice is sharp, parental authority weaponized like always. Family takes care of family. Your sister's kids deserve stability. What do you need with 3 bedrooms anyway? The words dig under my ribs, familiar and poisonous. Every memory of being second best presses against me. The chocolate cakes always baked for Liana's birthdays, the gifts wrapped in shiny paper for her, and second-hand sweaters for me. The endless chorus of "Be a good sister." You promised her, didn't you? My whisper surprises me. They exchange a quick glance, enough to confirm it. We may have mentioned, Mom says carefully, that this would be the family home. Everyone is so excited. You wouldn't want to let them down. Liana finally looks at me, triumphant. We told the kids already. They've picked out which rooms are theirs. A sick twist curls in my stomach. They didn't just hope. They planned this. Behind my back, before the ink on my mortgage dried, they were already claiming what was mine. You had no right. My voice shakes, but my hands curl into fists. Mom sighs as if I'm a stubborn child. Stop making this difficult. It's only fair. You'll understand once you have children. The sentence lands like a slap. My vision narrows. Marinara. Stains spread across the tile at my feet, thick and red like a warning. For the first time in years, I feel it rising in me. Not guilt, not duty, something hotter. Fury. The fury simmers, but they don't see it. They never do. To them, I'm predictable. The quiet one, the reliable one, the one who bends. Family first, Mom says, like a judge delivering a verdict. I retreat to the kitchen, not trusting my face. The sticky trail of sauce follows me, every step reminding me of the mess I didn't create yet somehow have to clean. Always cleaning, always making things easier for them. On the counter, my phone buzzes. A notification. I glance, and the bottom drops out of my stomach. Facebook. Liana updated her status. A new beginning for our family. The kids will finally have bigger bedrooms. So grateful to Mom and Dad for helping us. There's a photo attached. It's my house, my front porch, my welcome mat. The world tilts. They'd promised it to her before I'd even moved in. I hear laughter from the living room. Liana and Mom debating curtain colors. My curtain colors. My fists clench so tight my nails bite skin. Funny, I say, stepping back into the room. Phone raised. My voice trembles, but not from fear. You've already announced this place as yours? Liana's eyes widen for a flicker before narrowing into something harder. Well, people knew we were looking. It's just easier to tell them this is happening. Everyone expects it. Everyone expects it. Of course. My role written before I was born, give in, step aside, vanish. No. The word leaves me before I can think. Mom blinks. What did you say? I said no. This is my house. I bought it. It's mine. A beat of silence. Then laughter, sharp, disbelieving. Don't be ridiculous, Liana snaps. You don't even like hosting. What are you going to do with all this space? Work from home in one room while kids sleep 4 to a bed at my place? Guilt claws at me, the old reflex. But beneath it, something steadier grows. I see the sauce stain again, red against white tile. I see every secondhand sweater, every chocolate cake that wasn't mine, every time I was told to wait, to give, to disappear. No, I repeat, stronger this time. Mom's smile curdles. She'll give in, she mutters, almost to herself. She always does, but I don't. Not this time, because I've heard it now, their expectation spoken aloud. The script they wrote for me, and I know with a clarity that scorches through the guilt. I am done playing my part. The silence after my refusal is thick, like the air before a storm. Liana's jaw tightens. Mom's smile turns brittle. They don't. Like the script being broken. You're tired, Mom says finally, the tone syrupy, practiced. It's a lot of stress buying a house. You'll come around once you've had time to think clearly. Think clearly. Translation. Bend back into place. But I see it differently now. Every little piece slots together. The way Mom lingered. In the hallway, the day she forgot her purse. How Liana suddenly knew the exact square footage of my house. The premature Facebook post. None of this was spontaneous. It was a plan. I've had time, I answer. I'm thinking clearer than ever. Liana drops the tape measure with a snap. God, you're dramatic. We're talking about family. You think you deserve this? Space more than my kids? You don't even have a family of your own. The words sting, but the sting ignites me. My whole life, value was measured by what I could provide for them, my time, my silence, my sacrifices, never by what I built for myself. You're right, I say quietly. I don't have kids. I have this house, because I worked for it, because it's mine. Her face flushes, blotchy with anger. You always were selfish. The word selfish hangs in the air like incense, cloying and poisonous. It's the family's favorite weapon, the chain they've wrapped around my throat since childhood. Be grateful. Be accommodating. Be less. But today, the chain feels brittle. I'm done, I tell them. Mom steps closer, her voice dropping into that low, dangerous register. If you walk away from this family, don't expect us to be there when you need us. For a moment, the old fear flickers. The fear of exile, of being alone. But then I remember the truth. When have they ever been there? When rent swallowed me whole, when I worked double shifts, when birthdays passed without even a card. Who showed up? Not them. I pick up the broken jar lid from the floor. Its edge sharp, slick with red sauce. I hold it carefully, the metal cutting a thin line of pressure against my palm. You're right, Mom. You've made your position clear, so let me make mine clear too. I drop the lid into the trash, wipe my hands on a towel. My voice is steady. Now. This house isn't yours. It isn't Liana's. It isn't a community center. It's mine. And if you can't respect that, you don't belong here. Their shock is palpable, as if I've spoken in a language they've never heard. For the first time in my life, I watch them scramble for words. Me, the quiet one, holding the ground while they falter. It feels like breathing clean air after years underground. It feels like the beginning of something they can't control. The next week unfolds like a siege. It starts small. Voicemails from Mom, her voice dripping honey and venom in equal measure. "We just need to sit down and talk this through, honey. Don't make things harder than they need to be." Then the texts from Liana. "Kids are crying. They don't understand why you're being so cruel." Followed by photos of her children pouting. On a couch that isn't mine, staged like props in a play. I don't reply. Silence is gasoline on their fire. Soon, the escalation begins. The pastor from their church appears at my door one evening, hands folded, smile too wide. "Family is sacred," he tells me, as if I've committed blasphemy. He speaks of duty, of sacrifice, of blood ties. I stand in the doorway, arms crossed, and say nothing until his words tangle into silence. Then I close the door. The next morning, an HOA complaint arrives in my mailbox, anonymous, of course, accusing me of disruptive visitors and unsuitable landscaping. By evening, Mom calls to warn me that neighbors are starting to talk, but the worst is discovering the GoFundMe. My coworker texts me the link. There's Liana's smiling face, her children flanking her like saints in a painting. The headline screams, "Help us secure a home promised to us." Beneath it, my name, my photo. A sob story about a selfish sister refusing to honor a family commitment. Hundreds of dollars already donated. The fury nearly chokes me. For one dangerous moment, I imagine marching to their house, screaming until the walls shook, demanding they take it all back. But another thought slips in. Quiet. Sharp. Document. Everything. So I do. Screenshots of posts. Recordings of voicemails. A copy of the HOA complaint. Even footage from my new security cameras, which catch Mom jiggling the back door handle at 11 p.m. one night, her silhouette a trespasser in the place she insists belongs to her. The evidence piles up, a fortress of truth. Still, the pressure is relentless. At work, co-workers whisper. In the grocery store, a stranger mutters "heartless" as I pass. The narrative spreads, poisoning everything it touches. But I don't break. I remind myself of that moment, the marinara on the tiles, the shock of red against white, a crime scene, a warning. That was the day I woke up. So when Mom calls a family meeting, I agree. Not to surrender, but to strike back. The living room of my parents' house is crowded with aunts, uncles, cousins. I walk in carrying a folder thick with papers. Whispers ripple as I sit. Mom begins her performance, voice trembling with rehearsed sorrow. "We just want Posey to do the right thing. She has so much, and her sister's children—" Enough. My voice cuts through like glass. I open the folder and start laying it out. The Facebook post dated before my purchase. The GoFundMe page. Screenshots of texts. Stills from the security footage. Gasps follow each page. "This," I say, holding up the photo of Mom at my back door, "isn't family. This is trespassing. This is manipulation. This is theft." Silence spreads heavy and suffocating. Liana's face flushes crimson, her mouth working soundlessly. Mom's mask cracks, fury seeping through the polite facade. For the first time, I am not the one on trial. I gather the papers back into the folder and stand. You wanted everyone to see me as selfish? Fine. Let them see. But they'll also see the truth. I turn toward the door, their stunned faces behind me. My hands are steady. My steps are firm. For once in my life, I am not theirs to control. For once, the script is mine. I thought the family meeting would be the climax. The point where the truth would scorch everything so thoroughly that no one could twist it again. But families like mine don't collapse in one blow. They regroup, reframe, rewrite. By the next morning, the GoFundMe is gone, quietly deleted. But in its place blooms a new story, whispered through relatives and neighbors. I am unstable. I am lashing out. I fabricated evidence because I couldn't handle the pressure of being generous. They try to turn my defense into delusion. And for a moment, just one, I almost believed them. Late at night, alone in the too-quiet house, I stare at the footage on my phone, Mom's shadow at the back door. Was it really what it looked like? Could she have just been checking? Could I have misunderstood? That's the trick of their kind of gaslighting. Even when you have proof, you doubt yourself. But then, morning comes. Sunlight pools through my windows. The deed sits in my desk drawer with my name, and slowly, the fog burns off. So I take the next step. I go to a lawyer. The man in the gray suit listens patiently as I unspool everything. The duplicate keys, the social media claims, the harassment. When I finish, his expression is unreadable. You have more than enough, he says at last. We can draft a cease and desist. File for a restraining order if necessary. The words settle into me like bricks in a foundation. Solid. Real. That evening, I tape a copy of the cease and desist to my front door, right beneath the new deadbolt I had installed. Then I wait. It doesn't take long. 2 days later, Mom shows up again, Liana trailing behind her like a storm cloud. They don't knock. They rattle the door handle, find it locked, and pound hard enough that the frame shudders. Posey! Mom's voice cuts sharp through the wood. This is your last chance to act like part of this family, I let them shout. I let them curse. And then I step outside, phone in one hand, recording, the paper in the other. This is your notice. I say, loud enough for the camera. You are not welcome here. You enter again, I call the police. The look on Liana's face, shock splintered with rage, tells me she didn't expect me to follow through. This isn't you, Mom hisses, almost pleading now. You're not this person. You're letting strangers fill your head with poison. No, I say, steady. I'm finally letting myself in. For a beat, the world narrows, their fury, my heartbeat, the boundary line drawn clean at my doorstep. And then, unbelievably, they retreat. Not gracefully. Liana spits a curse. Mom mutters about ungrateful daughters. But they step back. They leave. The silence that follows is staggering. I close the door, lock it, and lean against the frame. My whole body shakes, adrenaline crashing through me, but beneath it is something steadier, something new. Freedom. That night, I bake a pie. Not chocolate cake, not apple. Pie I choose for myself. The smell fills the kitchen, warm and golden. When it cools, I cut a slice, sit at my table, and eat in peace. It tastes like victory. Later, I walk through the house, my house, and touch. Each wall, each door frame, grounding myself in the reality I fought for. The rooms are empty, but they are mine. No promises made behind my back, no stolen keys. For the first time, I believe it. I don't owe them my life. I don't owe them this home. I only owe myself the truth and the courage to keep it. The house is quiet again, but the war isn't over. Families like mine don't surrender. They regroup in whispers and subtle digs, turning every silence into an accusation. It begins with the relatives. Aunt May calls, her voice soft and pitying. Your mother's heart is breaking. She just doesn't understand why you've turned so cold. She says you've changed. The word drips down the line like poison disguised as honey. Yes, I say flatly. I have changed, and I'm not changing back. There's a sharp inhale on her end, as if I've confessed to murder. Well, she murmurs, families fall apart when pride gets in the way. pride. That's what they call survival. The cousins start posting vague statuses online about selfish siblings and forgotten blood ties. I don't comment. I don't defend. I let their words pile like autumn leaves, bright, brittle, and destined to rot. But my parents aren't done. One Saturday, I step outside to water the small garden I've started, a rebellion of tomatoes and basil in neat rows, and freeze. A for sale sign leans against my mailbox. Bright red, freshly painted, my address written neatly across the back. I check the cameras later and watch as Liana plants it there in the early dawn, her face smug, as if claiming territory. That night, I don't cry. I don't scream. I simply add the footage to my growing collection of evidence. Another brick for the wall I'm building. The lawyer calls it harassment. I call it proof. Days blur into weeks. Slowly, the noise from them dulls. Messages taper off. The campaign against me shifts into muttered comments at family gatherings I no longer attend. They've realized I'm not breaking. And in their world, what cannot be bent must be ignored. But ignoring is its own kind of freedom. I start filling the house with pieces of myself. A bookshelf in the office, stacked with novels I never had space for. Art prints, bright, strange. Mine, hung in the hall where Liana once measured for bunk beds. I paint the kitchen a bold color my mother would have called gaudy. Each brush stroke is a declaration. I exist. This is mine. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear echoes. Mom's voice calling me selfish, Liana accusing me of cruelty. But then I walk barefoot across the floors, warm under my skin, and the echoes fade. One evening, I host my first dinner. Not for them, never for them, but for people who actually see me. Friends, co-workers, neighbors I've grown close to. We laugh in the dining room where Liana once planned to cram her children. We spill wine on the tablecloth and don't apologize. At the end of the night, a friend lingers at the door. She looks around, smiles softly, and says, "This place feels so much like you." And that's when I realize it does. Not because of the walls or the deed, but because for the first time in my life, I claimed something without apology. I didn't hand it over. I didn't disappear. The fight with my family hasn't vanished. It still hums beneath the surface, waiting for the next move. But it no longer defines me. I define me. When I locked the door that night, the key turned smooth in my hand, final and certain. This house isn't just shelter. It isn't just defiance. It's proof, etched in wood and brick and memory, that I chose myself and survived choosing. And no matter what they say, no matter what story they spin, that can never be taken from me. Peace never lasts long in my family. I should have known the silence was temporary, a lull between storms. For weeks, things seemed to calm. Fewer messages, no surprise visits, no new campaigns to smear my name. I almost let myself believe they'd finally given up. Then the S letter arrived. Thick cream paper, my mother's handwriting on the envelope. Inside, 3 pages, written like scripture. It begins with the usual. Accusations of selfishness, reminders of everything we've done for you, and guilt sharpened into a knife. But halfway through, the words twist darker. If you continue down this path, don't expect to be in this family's will. Don't expect anyone to visit if you're sick. Don't expect us at your funeral. The threat is clear. Conform or be erased. I sit with the letter for hours, my hands trembling. Part of me still aches at the thought, being cut out, cut off, abandoned. But another part, the louder part, whispers, "Haven't they already abandoned you 100 times?" I burn the letter in a metal bowl on the back porch. The flames catch quickly, curling the edges black, devouring the words that once held power over me. The ashes scatter into the night air, carried away like smoke signals. It feels like a ritual, a cleansing. But my family doesn't take rejection lightly. A week later, I come home to find chalk marks on my driveway, words scrawled in shaky capitals: selfish, traitor, heartless. My stomach knots, but my hands are steady as I take photos, time-stamped, and wash the pavement clean. The lawyer calls it vandalism. I call it desperation, because I can see it now. They are flailing. Every tactic, every manipulation, every weapon they've ever used is failing for the first time, and it terrifies them. Meanwhile, I'm learning what life looks like without their claws in me. I take weekend trips. I plant roses in the front yard. I start a journal, writing truths I once buried. I am not their scapegoat. I am not their sacrifice. I am not responsible for their happiness. The more I write, the more space opens inside me, like rooms in this house unlocking one by one. But the final test comes one Sunday afternoon. I hear tires crunching gravel and look out to see my parents. Car parked crookedly across the drive. Mom and Dad step out, stiff with determination. Behind them, Liana emerges, her children in tow, their faces confused. She's staging one last scene. Children as shields, the ultimate guilt trip. I step. Outside before they can knock. Why are you here? My voice is calm, measured. Mom launches into her speech, practiced as a sermon. We want one more chance. For the children's sake. They need stability, Posey. They need family. This house was promised to them. The words land like dull echoes. Once they would have cut me open. Now they sound tired. This house was promised to no one, I say. It was bought. By me. For me. Liana's voice sharpens. You can't just erase us. You can't turn your back on your family. I'm not erasing anyone, I answer. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. The kids fidget, sensing tension but not understanding. For a fleeting second, guilt pierces me. But then I remember that guilt isn't mine. It was planted, nurtured, forced to grow in me like ivy choking stone. Not anymore. I point to the edge of the driveway. Leave, now! Don't come back without a lawyer present. The silence that follows is heavy, broken only by the children's restless shifting. Then Mom hisses, One day you'll regret this. Maybe, I say. But at least the regret will be mine, not yours, not hers. Mine. They leave, slowly, reluctantly. When their car disappears down the road, I exhale, long and shaking. For the first time, I know it's over. Not because they've surrendered, but because I've stopped playing their game. I turn back toward the house. The roses are blooming. The windows glow with warm light. And for once I feel entirely, fiercely at home. The days after their last visit feel strange, like the air itself has shifted. For the first time, I don't wake expecting confrontation. No knocks at the door. No angry voicemails, no chalk on the driveway. Just quiet. It unsettles me at first. My body, conditioned to chaos, waits for the next strike. But slowly, the silence begins to feel less like the pause before a storm and more like peace. I start small. I buy curtains in colors I love, not the muted tones my mother always called tasteful. I rearrange the living room not for guests or children, but for myself. My reading chair by the window, my music where I can reach it. I even paint one wall a deep emerald green, bold and unapologetic. Each change whispers the same truth. This space is mine. One evening, as I water the roses, I realize I haven't thought about my family all day. Not once. The realization stuns me. For so long, they've lived rent-free in my head, dictating my choices, haunting my peace. And now, finally, they're fading into the background. Of course, not everyone approves. A coworker corners me at lunch, frowning. I heard about, what happened? Don't you think you're being a little harsh? They're your parents, your sister. The old me would have shrunk under the weight of that judgment, scrambling to explain, to justify. But now, I simply smile. It's not harsh to have boundaries. It's survival. The conversation ends quickly. Bit by bit, I feel stronger. Start writing again. Stories I abandoned years ago because Mom told me they were a waste of time. I take long walks, rediscovering the quiet joy of being alone without being lonely. I even laugh more, real laughter, bubbling up unforced. But healing isn't a straight line. Some nights I still dream of them. In the dreams, I'm back at that table. Marinara on the tiles. Mom's voice slicing into me, Liana's glare burning holes through my skin. I wake with my heart racing, shame clinging like sweat. Then I sit up, look around at the walls I painted, the shelves I filled, the roses blooming outside, and I remind myself, that was then. This is now. I survived them. One afternoon, a letter arrives in the mail, not from them, but from the lawyer. The restraining order is finalized. If they set foot on my property again, the law is on my side. I stare at the paper for a long time. Relief mixes with grief because as much as I needed this, it feels like a tombstone. Here lies the family I thought I had, and yet there's freedom in the burial. That weekend, I invite my friends over again. We sit in the backyard under string. Lights, drinking wine, laughing too loudly. At one point, someone raises a toast. To Posey, for finally living her life. The words land heavy and light all at once. I raise my glass, smiling, and realize something. This house was once a battlefield, a symbol of betrayal, manipulation, and control. But now, it's becoming something else, a sanctuary, a beginning. I don't know what the future holds. If my family will ever try to claw their way back in, or if they'll fade from my story entirely. But I know this. Whatever comes, I'm ready. Because this time, the choice is mine. And for the first time in my life, that's enough.